Summary of the Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. The main character, Cora's grandmother, Ajari, is taken from Africa when she was a child, and she was brought to America and sold many times before she ends up on the Randall farm. Ajari has been married 3 times and has 5 children. Mabel, Cora's mother, is the only child who has survived. While working in the cotton field, Ajari has a brain hemorrhage and dies. The story jumps to Cora's teen years, when she is still living on Randall. Every Sunday, Cora takes care of her garden, which she got from Mabel, who got it from Ajari. Cora became a stray after Mabel ran away and was put in Hob, the house for wretched women. Cora got into a fight with a guy named Blake soon after she moved in. Blake built a wooden house for his dog in Cora's yard. Cora used a hatchet to destroy the doghouse and cut the dog's tail off. Soon after, 4 slave men raped her in a group. People who are slaves on Randall are one day making a birthday feast for Jockey, an enslaved man who celebrates his birthday on any given day. Before the feast, Cora talks to her friend Lovey. Lovey is a sweet and simple girl who likes dancing more than Cora does. A young man named Caesar grabs Cora by the arm and asks her to run away with him right before the feast. Cora laughs off the idea as silly. The slaves dance and play music after the feast, but the sons who own the farm, James and Terrence Randall, come in and stop them. For their own amusement, the brothers make the slaves dance, and Terrence gets very angry when Chester, a young boy, spills wine on his shirt. When Terrence is about to hit Chester, Cora steps in to protect him. As a result, they are both brutally whipped. James Randall dies soon after Jockey's feast of kidney failure. His brother Terrence then takes over the whole farm, as he is the meaner one. A guy named Big Anthony runs away because of this, but he is soon caught and beaten to death over the course of 3 days. Following this, Cora decides to run away with Caesar. Caesar tells her that Fletcher, a neighborhood store owner who works for the Underground Railroad, is helping him. Before long, they knew that Lovey was following them as they set out in the dark. Before they can get far from the estate, they run into hog farmers who catch Lovey. A young boy hits Cora and she kills him with a rock. Caesar and Cora find Fletcher, and Fletcher tells them about Lumley, who has an underground train stop under his farm. They take a shaky car to get to South Carolina. Before she left, Mabel didn't tell Cora that she was going somewhere. Ridgeway, a famous slave hunter, was paid by old Randall to find Mabel, but he failed. Ridgeway is the son of Ridgeway Sr., a blacksmith who believed in a great spirit that linked all living things. Ridgeway starts to terrorize and abuse black people as a patroller when he is a youngster. He then decides to become a professional slave catcher. Ridgeway feels terrible that he wasn't able to catch Mabel, and he swears that he will find Cora instead. An African-American woman named Bessie takes care of Mr. and Mrs. Anderson's 2 children while they live in South Carolina. Bessie takes the kids to see their dad at work sometimes. His office is in the Griffin Building, which has 12 floors and a lift. Bessie lives in dorms that are watched over by white proctors like Miss Lucy. In the end, it turns out that Bessie is really Cora. She and Caesar made up a fake identity in South Carolina with the help of Sam, the owner of a white bar and an Underground Railroad agent. Cora learns to read and write with Miss Handler, and she gets medical checkups at the nearby hospital. One night, there is a party in the dorms. Cora wears a pretty new dress and is happy to talk to Caesar. They choose to stay in South Carolina even though an Underground Railroad train is coming in a few days. That night, Cora sees a black woman screaming, "They're taking away my babies," as she runs through the green in front of the dorms. Cora keeps seeing this picture. Cora will soon have a new job as a type in a museum. The 3 scenes she poses in are called Scenes from Darkest Africa, Life on the Slave Ship, and Typical Day on the Plantation. They show different parts of the global slave trade. At Cora's next checkup, Dr. Stevens tells her that she should get sterilized, which scares her. Not long after, Sam tells her and Caesar that there are reports that the doctors are not treating some black dorm inmates for syphilis so that they can study how the infection spreads. At the same time, some people are being sterile against their will to get rid of the black population. Soon after, Cora has a conversation with Miss Lucy that makes her worry that her real identity as a runaway slave may have been found out. When she goes to tell Sam, he tells Cora that Ridgeway is after her and hides her on the tunnel platform. As Cora waits in the dark, she sees that Sam's house is on fire on the other side of the door. Teenage train worker Cora is brought to North Carolina by their boss. By the time Martin Wells gets there, she is already on the platform, which scares him because the station is meant to be closed. Martin tells Cora that black people are no longer allowed in North Carolina and shows her the Freedom Trail, which is a line of what seems like an endless number of hanged black bodies that are left out for everyone to see. He hides Cora in the attic where he lives with his wife Ethel. Fiona, a young Irish helper, can't know that Cora is there because she might tell other people, who would then kill Cora, Martin, and Ethel. Cora watches the Friday festival through a hole in the attic wall. At this event, the people of the town watch a minstrel show and then kill a black person in public. Cora passes out sometimes because the heat in the attic is so high, and she only gets very little food and water. She gets sick in the end, and Ethel takes care of her, which is different from how she used to act. Soon after, patrollers show up at the house and go straight to the attic. Rufy is one of them. He grabs Cora by the legs and throws her down the stairs. Mountain Ridgeway takes Cora with him. The people of the town stone Martin and Ethel to death as they leave. Ridgeway, his helpers Homer and Boseman, and a caught runaway named Jasper who won't stop singing songs go through Tennessee with Cora. Homer is a black 10-year-old boy who drives Ridgeway and keeps the books. Homer is legally free, but for some reason he chooses to stay with Ridgeway, and he even chains himself to Ridgeway's wagon at night. Boseman, on the other hand, has been traveling with Ridgeway for 3 years and wears a collar made of dried ears. Ridgeway gets annoyed by Jasper's singing in the end and shoots him. As they move, they pass through places that have been hit by fires and yellow fever. Ridgeway buys Cora a new dress and takes her to dinner one night. He tells Cora that a group of people killed Caesar in South Carolina. Boseman tries to rape Cora after dinner, but Royal, Justin, and Red, 3 free black men, stop him and shoot Boseman, saving Cora. Cora hits Ridgeway 3 times in the face with a kick and then runs away. The story jumps ahead to the present day, where Cora lives on Valentine Farm, an Indiana free black community. She is going to school again, and she shares a house with a woman named Sybil and Sybil's daughter, Molly. Cora is very close with Molly. John Valentine, a black guy who was born white but passes as black, and his wife Gloria run the farm. Abolitionists, artists, and writers are just some of the people who visit the farm often. Royal is trying to get Cora to like him, so he shows her a nearby subway stop. Cora spends most of her time in the library at the farm. One day, John meets her there to talk about the farm's future. The people who live there are about to decide if they want to move west or stay put and kick out the runaways who live there. John tells Cora that he knows he needs to help all black people because he thinks they should look out for each other. All the people who live in the town gather at the farm for a discussion about its future. In a speech, Mingo, one of the oldest residents, says that runaways and criminals should be sent away and that the only way to achieve Negro uplift is to accept only the best members of the race. The next speaker is activist and rhetorician Elijah Lander, who is of mixed race. Lander says Valentine Farm might be a delusion, but the people who live there have to believe in it. Ridgeway and a group of white guys cut the meeting short just as Lander's speech was ending. They kill Lander and Royal and take many other people hostage. Royal smiles at Cora and tells her to take the subway to get away as he dies in her arms. Ridgeway grabs Cora and tells her to take him to the train station. The next to last part talks about Mabel's life and why she chose to run away. Prior to Cora's birth, Mabel was raped many times by Moses, who worked for Randall as a black boss. Cora was born because Mabel had an affair with Grayson when she was 14 years old. Grayson was a nice and sure of himself guy who died of a fever before Mabel found out she was pregnant. Mabel is excited to be free when she runs away, but she knows right away that she has to go back for Cora. On her way back to Randall, though, she gets bitten by a snake and dies. The swamp then eats her body. She takes Ridgeway and Homer to the train stop with her. However, as soon as they reach the stairs, Cora wraps her chains around Ridgeway's neck, making him trip and fall. He is hurt badly and lying there dying. Ridgeway asks Homer to write down his last words. Cora, meanwhile, gets on the handcar that is waiting at the station and starts slowly making her way to freedom while swinging a pickaxe at the tunnel. They get too tired after a while, so she keeps going on foot between sleeps. She gets to the end of the tube and can see that she is now facing north because of the sun. A group of wagon drivers stop to help her, and an old black man named Ollie gives her food and water and suggests that they talk about their lives.
About the author. Colson Whitehead was born in Manhattan and grew up there. He went to Trinity School and Harvard University and graduated in 1991. After that, he went back to New York and started working as a writer for the Village Voice. At the same time, he wrote his first book, The Intuitionist, which came out in 1999. Whitehead has now written 6 books. The most current one is called The Underground Railroad. Whitehead is known for writing funny things, but his work also crosses over into other types of writing, like science fiction. Besides stories, he has written a lot of articles and 2 nonfiction books. A lot of people have given him awards, like the National Book Award for The Underground Railroad, a Whiting Award, a Guggenheim Fellowship, and a MacArthur Fellowship. He lives in Brooklyn.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.